right, in this video, we're going to be talking about body image and body dysmorphia, kind of what the difference between negative body image days are and body dysmorphia, how you can kind of understand the difference between the two of them and where you kind of fall, and also how you can support yourself with this. So it is really important for us to first dive into body image, right? And body image can really become a pattern just due to the repeating thoughts or patterns that we have throughout the day. So, and when it comes to body image, we can have a scale here, right? First and foremost, we have the one side of body image, which is positive body image. Maybe we have positive self-talk. And maybe on the other side, we have that negative self-talk, negative self-image. And it's really important to know that our body image can shift day to day, even throughout the day. And that's a completely normal thing. What we're going to be kind of honing in on here is where along that spectrum you lie, so you can really have some tools to support yourself with that. So like I was kind of talking about, body image can really become a pattern due to repeating thoughts that might be in your mind, or even the patterns and habits that you have throughout the day. So this could look like as soon as you hop in the mirror, you immediately start picking out your flaws. Or maybe on the other side, you have the pattern of saying something nice to yourself. Maybe you have this habit of telling yourself something positive, right? Or maybe it's a habit that you have around the scale. When you hop on the scale, you tell yourself that there's a value lying in with that number that you see, whether it's a positive or a negative. There's some sort of correlation or value that you are drawing, again, for yourself based upon that number. So these are things that we do, day to day, maybe every single day. And these are going to have a big impact on how we perceive ourselves, especially when these things start to shift. So like I mentioned, it is important to understand that body image is not something that's black and white. Very rarely are we constantly living in a negative state of mind, and very rarely are we living in a constantly positive state of mind, right? Just like anything in life, our emotions are going to fluctuate, and that's okay, and that's normal, right? However, it's important to understand some of these factors that may be impacting your body image. So this can really shift based on how you talk to yourself, how other people around you talk about themselves, right? What you are kind of picking up on in terms of their language and self-talk, how they maybe even talk about you, right? And your body, or even what you are comparing yourself against, which we know all too well due to the age of social media and having lots of different bodies and shapes and sizes and all sorts of things that we can compare ourselves against. So these are things to just be mindful of, right? This is kind of the input into the body image equation and things that are really important for us to just pay attention to. So I challenge you to start thinking through this. Start thinking through what are the thoughts that are going on through your mind, and what are maybe some things that you can pick up on, and start noticing what is going on around you in terms of how other people talk about themselves, maybe how other people talk about you, what thoughts are popping up in your mind, and even if you notice yourself comparing. So again, when it comes to improving body image, it comes back down to understanding the root of the issue, as with anything in life, right? We don't want to put a Band-Aid on it. We want to actually understand what's going on underneath the surface. So to do this, I would highly recommend getting a journal, getting something that you can write your thoughts down in. You could even use the Notes app in your phone. You can create like a locked note so other people can't access it, and have something where you can kind of go back to and understand what the thoughts are that are playing in repeat in your mind. What's really important here is I want you to take note of the thoughts that you are witnessing, right? And start detaching yourself from the thoughts. So instead of I am blank, I'm feeling blank, right? Instead of I am this thing and you are identifying with it, instead saying I'm having a thought about blank, or my brain thinks I am blank, or I am feeling blank, right? Do you notice a difference there? One is identifying with this and making it permanent, written in stone. This is just how you are. And the other gives you the flexibility to change. And so our words really do have power, and it's really important for us to shift into the latter. And so as you start to witness your thoughts, I want you to do just that. Witness them and stop identifying with them. Now, with that, I also want you to try and let yourself keep the thoughts just in that journal. So you can ask yourself, can I just keep these thoughts in my journal? Just ask yourself that throughout the day. When you have a thought that comes up, say, oh, you know what? I'm going to put this in my journal and then I'm done with it, right? I'm not going to let myself continue witnessing this thought. And if it keeps coming up, I can tell myself some sort of narrative around, you know what? I've already written it down. I've got it documented. I'll dive into it a little bit deeper when I have time, but this thought actually is not really beneficial to me in this current moment. So this is a really great strategy to letting those more intrusive thoughts go and making sure that you are still setting time aside to dive into what's going on. Now, from here, when you do have these kind of listed out, you can start going down what I like to call the why rabbit hole, which is asking yourself, I'm curious why I feel that way, right? So maybe it's a narrative around weight, right? Maybe you notice a narrative when you hop on the scale, you feel really excited if you see the scale go down, but the second you see a fluctuation go up, you feel really terrible about yourself, right? And so you notice this, you start to become aware of these thoughts and what exactly that voice is saying in your head. Now, from there, you can start going down this why rabbit hole of asking yourself, I wonder why I get so excited when I notice the scale fluctuate down, but then I get so upset when the scale fluctuates up. And maybe you find out that there's a belief tied to that seeing the scale goes up means that you're failing. And you can get curious on that of like, is that really true? I wonder why, right? I wonder why I believe that I'm failing if I notice the scale fluctuates up. Is that really true? You can start to question these thoughts and see, is there any validity behind that? And maybe you start to recognize, okay, actually the scale is going to fluctuate up and the scale is going to fluctuate down. So maybe celebrating those low fluctuations isn't actually beneficial in the same way that beating myself up over those, higher fluctuations also isn't really beneficial, right? Bringing in that piece of logic, bringing in that element of logic to tell yourself, hey, we can actually just look at those patterns and trends over time. We know the scale is going to fluctuate up. We know the scale is going to fluctuate down, but being able to look at what's going on over time is going to be the most important there. So again, going down this why rabbit hole, you can do this with any thought that you have and experience, being able to understand, again, the root of this issue. Now, another thing that we can do here is start shifting from your thinking. Instead of thinking about your appearance truly just in, a physical sense, we can start celebrating how your body looks, right? Instead of celebrating how your body looks and is on the appearance side of things, we can start celebrating how your body feels and what it is now capable of. So what this might look like is, instead of looking in the mirror and making a comment about your arms, and maybe you don't love your arms, and, you have all these practiced thoughts that are coming up, and as soon as you see your arms in a photo or in the mirror, there's going to be 10 thoughts about it, right? But instead, we can start shifting that narrative to say, actually, my arms are now stronger. They're strong enough that I can hold both of my kids, one kid in each arm. And that's really awesome, right? So shifting the celebration away from how your arms actually look to what they're capable of. Maybe it's your legs, right? Maybe now your legs are strong enough to carry you through longer walks, which lets you experience more of this beautiful planet that we live on, right? Getting more out of this life. So thinking through shifting your compliments to yourself, shifting your self-talk away from just the appearance and into what your body is capable of. Now, another thing that I love to do, and I think is a really great activity for clients, is to shift for each negative thought that you have to come up with 1 to 2 positive things that you can say. I think this is a really great challenge because we know that it's going to start rewiring that habit. If your brain notices every time you say something negative, you have to say 1 to 2 things that are positive, then your brain is going to just start looking automatically for the positives, right? We're offsetting that. And so your brain is going to start automatically looking for that and ultimately setting you up for success in shifting your headspace. All right. So those are just some kind of tips in terms of body image. Now, I want to definitely talk through body dysmorphia and what that looks like, and also how that may be playing a role in your body image. So it's really important to know that body dysmorphia disorder is, on the other hand, a crippling mental illness. Okay. So body dysmorphia goes deeper than just body image. Again, body image is going to fluctuate. We're going to have days that are maybe less positive body image days, and that is okay. Body dysmorphia is something where you really have these obsessive, maybe more intrusive thoughts that really take over your day-to-day when it comes to your body, right? Oftentimes, body dysmorphia can feel like a heightened state of that poor body image. So maybe for you, it looks like being extremely concerned about a self-perceived flaw, right? Oftentimes, it's something that people around you are not going to notice at all. They wouldn't even know that this is a flaw of yours, or it's going to be something that's very, very minor. However, your brain is really honing in on it and making this out to be a really big deal. You also might have a strong belief that you are deformed in some way or just really, not attractive or have some really negative perceptions around yourself due to this perceived flaw. Because of this, you might start worrying about how other people around you may be thinking of you, or maybe even like mocking you behind your back. You might have some fear around how other people perceive you. Because of that, you might avoid social situations where this perceived flaw may be more likely to be shown or on display. But ultimately, it's going to come down to a lot of shame and embarrassment around your body. Now, what I will tell you is if you're checking off any of these boxes, multiple of these boxes, and you're like, I have these obsessive thoughts many times throughout the day, keeping me from daily activities, meaning it's hard for you to go and engage in day-to-day activities because of these thoughts, then we would definitely recommend that you reach out to a mental health professional for further help here. This is just because body dysmorphia is a mental health disorder. Therefore, it is outside of our scope here at RFN, and we want to make sure that you are getting the support that you need to feel your best. Now, in the meantime, if this is something where, again, you're feeling like along this spectrum of bad body image to body dysmorphia, you're like, you know what, I actually lean more towards this bad body image, I definitely would recommend continuing to use those strategies that I talked about earlier, right? This is a way that you can really cope with that negative body image, that negative self-talk. And if you feel that you did check off some of these boxes and you want to reach out to a health professional to get that support you need for body dysmorphia, that's definitely the next step that you should be taking.